treated some stages in data analytics or data analysis. Okay. All right. From the data exploration stage to reduce this. Yes, to stage two, stage stage three. All right, yes. So I gave us an assignment or two assignments. The number six here, derive the customer value based on spend. Have we done it? All right, I'll just quickly run through the correction. So you have customer value. Let me read the question again. Derive the customer value based on spend. From what you have there, if they're saying based on spend, you need to go back to your data set and check what was related to spending there. If you check, you see we have revenue. So they are telling you to use your revenue to determine the customer value. And we have the criteria here. If it's less than 1.5, it should be casual bias. If it's from, if it's less than 2.5, now there's a mistake here. You must have noticed. This one should be 2,501 to above. So if it's less than, the first one is less than 1.5. So the next one is if it's less than 2.5. Oh, it's still okay. It's still right. It's still right. If this is less than 2.5, then this guy here will be. All right, so it's still correct. So I'll create a new column for the customer value. I would like to create it somewhere close to the revenue. So I can have the customer value, let's say here. So in case you didn't get it, please make sure you pay attention to this. And please make sure you do all the things you're doing. You're going to be needing them for our dashboard. So you can't afford to skip anyone. So I'll use my if function. Now the logical test is if revenue, the first one is less than 1.5. I think that's casual bias. Let me check again. Yeah, casual bias. So it should just be casual buyer. That's going to be casual buyer. That's another if. If the revenue is less than 2.5, that's brand seeker. Brand seeker. Else convinced seeker, or is it convinced buyer? Convinced seeker, okay. Okay, so there you go. That's for the first assignment. So the second assignment, I think I'm not mentioning anybody here. So the second assignment is on some if. But was anybody able to get this part, please? I need a response. Was anybody able to get this part?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Can you call out your formula? Or let me just ask, how were you able to go about it? Let me ask you that.
Okay, so I used some ifs.
Okay, just call out your formula.
Okay. Equals to some ifs,
Okay.
then customer data,
Yeah, are you sure? Okay, yeah. All right, continue.
revenue in brackets, revenue,
Okay.
comma, customer data, country in brackets, then um the column where Australia is, which is U25.
Okay.
So I fixed U,
Mm, okay. All
comma,
right.
customer data,
Okay. Well, can you
gender in brackets.
just, as you are trying to say it, can you explain as well so others can get it?
Okay. Explain as in
Don't worry, I will just do the explanation. Just go ahead.
okay. Customer data, gender in brackets,
Okay.
comma, V24.
You mean I
And
should
I,
select the male?
so
Okay.
I picked the row.
You fixed the row, that's 24, right?
Oh
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Close the brackets.
All right. So what should I do next? I should drag down.
Yes. So central.
Okay. Do I need to drag to the right or I should leave it like that?
You can drag to the right.
Are you sure? Okay.
No. No. If you drag, the column will change. The row. The column will change. So I think I just have to
So this is what will happen if I drag.
write it.
Okay.
Yes.
So
So the column is
which means you have to call out another formula for
yes,
this, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Is she the only, thank you so much. Is she the only one that got it right? Why is everybody quiet? Okay. I guess she's the only one that got it right now. So it's quite straightforward. She's correct with what she did here. Now, if I get the total of this, I hope you calculated the grand totals and all the totals too. But let me just wait till when I'm done with this. So she did for male. Let me do for female. So you use your sum heaps. Don't forget the question says create the tabulation has been created for you. You just to fill in the values of sum of revenue by country and gender. So in other words, the value you have here means Australia or males that are from Australia, male that are from Germany, like that. And you discover that she fixed some cells. Yesterday I mentioned that you need to apply your mixed referencing or absolute any one of it, anywhere you feel it's needed. So the first thing here is your sum range. Sum range means what's a particular column you're trying to sum up. The column you're trying to sum up is the revenue, and your revenue is under customer data, like this. So the next thing is criteria range one. The first criteria is you have two criteria, you have country, you have gender. You can pick anyone for the first one. So I can decide to pick country, or the other time I picked country. So this time let me pick gender. So let me start with gender this time around. So gender. So what's the exact criteria? From your example of yesterday, remember we were typing hem, but this time around there's no need because we are going to reference the cell. So we just pick the cell containing it. Oh, sorry, this cell. Since we are dealing with female, not male, so I pick this. Now, you remember relative referencing. We have to fix this guy. So is either I fix the row or I fix the two. It works anyways. If I decide to fix the two like this, fix the whole cell, it still works. I can just decide to fix only the row, anyone you want. So, all right, after that, we have the criteria range 2. So the criteria range 2, this time I can select the country. Please drop it. You can select the country. So this time around, you select the country. You have country as your criteria range 2. After that, the exact criteria is you pick Australia. You pick the first one, which is Australia. Now for Australia, you can decide not to fix any cell. Still going to work anyway, but you can just fix the W because it's not changing anything. The cells are still going to change regardless. As me are dragging to your right now, okay, I will tell you, okay, you have to fix the column. But it's not a must to fix anything for this side. So let me leave it like that so you can see what I'm talking about. So that's all. You can close your bracket and apply. Then you can drag down. Can we see? We still have our answer. So now, this total means you sum up these two that you have here. So we sum this, this, and this together. Then you can drag down. So you can find the grand total, sum everything here for this, and sum this. All right. So this one was automatically calculated because there was a formula there before. So your grand total, which is this total here should give you exactly what you calculated here. You see, it's the same with this. So if you're not having 21,764,000, then something is wrong somewhere. All right. So did you get that? All right. I think that's a yes. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is data visualization. But before I go into data visualization, there's something important for us to learn first. That's the pivot table and pivot chart. Yesterday, I said we should read on it. I don't know if we did. Okay, that's slide 3. All right, so pivot table and pivot charts. So the next thing after your table fine tuning, like adding stuff to it, your data preparation, everything, you're done adding to your columns, applying your functions, cleaning and everything, and you want to visualize. You have to go through pivot tables and pivot charts. These are the two important things that will help you to visualize your data set. Now, what are pivot tables? A pivot table is used to summarize and analyze data in a spreadsheet. Now, if you look at your data set now, you discover that we have a lot of columns. Sorry, I'm coming. Where is this sound coming from? All right, you discover that we have a lot of columns there. You have revenue, you have age band, you have customer value. What else? You have the gender, you have a lot. And if you want to visualize in Excel or visualize in data analysis, you have to pick a particular, how should I put it, like a particular entity. Now, if you want to visualize the ratio of the gender now, that is going to be represented using a particular pivot table and a particular pivot chart. So it's like splitting your data set into different tables. Yes, okay, I think that's a perfect explanation. Splitting your data set into different tables, whereby each table will contain its own visualization. That's simply a pivot table. It's quite easy when we get to practical, where we get to the more. It allows you to rearrange and aggregate data from a table or range of cells, making it easier to understand and draw insights from the data. So from your pivot table, you can sort your data sets, maybe ascending or descending. You can pick top 10. There's a lot you can do there. There's a lot of sorting and filtering you can do there. You can quickly create summaries such as totals, yes. So you can easily create totals, averages, counts. All those are, I explained KPI yesterday, right? All your KPIs, you can easily create them. So pivot table works like this. For each and everything you want to visualize on your dashboard, each and every one of them should have a pivot table. For instance, you want to display total revenue. Total revenue, we have its own pivot table. Average revenue, we have its own pivot table. Let's say you want to view revenue by gender. Revenue by gender, we have its own pivot table. Revenue by maybe months, we have its own pivot table. Anything you want to visualize, we have its own pivot table. Now, how do you now create your pivot table? Now, the first step is, you might want to write this down. The first step is make sure your cursor, you select your data, that is, your cursor is within your data set, is within your table. It's just like when the same way you usually structure your data sets, that is, you want to convert it to a table, the same way your cursor is always within it. To create pivot tables, to make sure your cursor is within your, and also don't get to miss, a pivot table is different from structuring. Yes. So make sure your cursor is within your data set, your table. Then you press alternate plus N, Alt plus N plus V on your keyboard. So something will pop up, and then you select pivot table. I'm going to show us anyways. So you can just write the shortcuts down or the command Alt plus N plus V. You press them together on your keyboard while your cursor is within the table. So now it says there using pivot table. Now, when you create a pivot table, it looks something like this, something like this. Yeah. But before you get to this place, to show you something like this, pivot table fields. Now, pivot table fields, you have a lot of columns inside your data set or in your table. So pivot table fields contains the different tables that you have, so different columns that you have. So anything you want to visualize, you select it from your pivot table field. And it's in such a way that if you select a column that contains numbers, automatically it will be added to values by itself. If you select anything containing text, it either goes to columns or rows, but oftentimes it goes to rows. But that being said, let's say you select a particular column and it's being added to values and you want it to be on that rows, you can always drag it from values to rows. So, which is what we have here. Selected fields are added to their default areas. Non-numeric fields are added to rows. That's what I just said. Date and time hierarchies are added to columns, and numeric values or numeric fields are added to values. Now, to move a field from one area to another, drag the field to the target area. Exactly what I said. So you can determine to drag maybe period 0, for instance. You can determine to drag, instead of clicking it, you can just drag it to anywhere you want. So I already said this is what the pivot. So after selecting from here, after selecting the fields from here, this is what is going to show you. So from here, I can HR was selected in the field, and what is this? Chicago, yeah, and the is this city, and city was selected too. So now after creating your pivot table, the next thing is to create your pivot chart. Pivot chart are just like your normal chart, your bar chart, your column chart, your pie chart, any kind of chart. Now, it's not everything you represent in a pivot table that can be visualized. I explained this yesterday, like your KPIs. You cannot visualize sum of revenue. It's a value. You can't show it unless you want to plot sum of revenue against something. But sum of revenue or total revenue itself cannot be visualized. So in cases of your KPIs, they stop at pivot table. But in cases of your visualizations, like let's say revenue against age band, you want to plot two things against each other. That's when you take a step further to. Now, the first step is how do you create you already know what your pivot chart is. The pivot chart is a graphical representation of the data in a pivot table. Like I said, your bar chart, your pie chart, donuts charts, so many type of charts you have. I'm sure you are familiar with charts. That allows you to visualize the summarized data from your pivot table. So it's what that you have inside your pivot table that is going to be visualized. Pivot charts are dynamic and interactive, meaning that changes made to the underlying pivot table will automatically reflect. Yes. Now, after creating your pivot chart, if you decide there's something you want to go and change in your pivot table, immediately you change it, automatically it will reflect in your pivot chart. That's what they're trying to say here. So now, how do you now create your pivot chart? Now, click any cell inside your pivot table. Your cursor must be within your pivot table. Then on the Analyze tab in the Tools group, you will see pivot chart there. So you just click on pivot chart and you can insert any chart you want. So when you visualize it or when you practicalize it, you understand it better. So you can also change pivot chart type. Let's say, for instance, now I want to visualize revenue by, let's say, by what's that stuff I have that is very much. Let me just, for instance, by each band. So I selected bar chart, and it's not really giving me what I want. I might decide to go and change it to use, okay, let me use pie chart instead. So anytime you use any pivot charts, you can always change it to anyone you want. So these are different type of charts you want. You have pie, column, line, map, stock, and a lot of them like that. Now, another question you might want to ask is, how do you now know the perfect charts to use for a particular visualization? Now that's going to take me to this part. How do you know the perfect chart to use? Now, if you have this on your file too, if you scroll down to this part of your file, come on, don't go too far. You see choosing charts, you see trend. So if you want to show trend in your analysis, want to show trend of something, maybe trend of revenue over the month or trend of revenue over the year, you can use line chart or area chart. If you want to compare variables, maybe you want to compare revenue, maybe between age bands or between the months, the one you have in January to December, different months, you can use your bar chart or column chart to show relationship. You can still use your column chart, bar chart, and bubble chart. To show distribution, we use scatter plots. and histogram. But most of the time, we use scatter plot when you have a lot of data, like large data, very large data. So you have proportion. Proportion is for like pie charts. It's for pie charts, donut charts. I already know what proportion is now. Let's say you want to know the proportion of male to female, like the ratio of male to female. Use your pie chart for that. Tracking changes, waterfall chart, tracking processes, funnel chart. All right, so that's how to navigate the type of charts to use. So let's go to stage 4, which is our visualization. But before that, I said we have to deal with our KPIs first. We can't visualize our KPIs, so let's quickly do that. So you're going to create, now, yes, for each visualization you're going to be getting, you have to create one sheet per visualization. But for your KPIs, you can decide to use a particular sheet for all your KPIs. Now, what should we have in our KPI? I already explained what KPI is, right? So who can quickly list some things we can have or visualize in our, not visualize, I mean, some KPIs we can have on our dashboard. Who can help us with that? What are the KPIs you feel we should include in our dashboard?
Revenue.
Revenue, well, continue revenue, how? You can't just say revenue. What part of revenue are you visualizing?
Revenue with the customer's name.
Don't mix KPI with, don't mix it with visualization. Um, that means we didn't get the concept of KPI. KPI is not something you can visualize using chat. Don't let me say you can't visualize it, but you can visualize it using chat. Because at least if you are showing something you are visualizing it, but you can't visualize it using chat. It's a single entity. I gave examples yesterday. I told you everything we have under data exploration, they are KPIs. I cannot plot average revenue. It's not possible. What do I want to plot it against? It's a single entity. The person that said revenue, assuming he had said some total revenue, for instance, would have been correct. You can't just say revenue. What revenue? You have to be specific. Is it average revenue? Is it maximum revenue? So those are what I'm asking of. So let me start. So maybe you understand. I will say I want to visualize my total revenue. I want to have my total revenue. Sorry, I might be using visualization. I'm still showing it, so it's still visualization. Just that it's not visualization with chat. I hope you understand. So I will say total revenue. So who wants to add to that? I think we should understand it by now. Who wants to add to that? Oh yeah, now. The answers are okay. I will say
Um,
page revenue. You wanted to say something?
maximum revenue.
Okay, thank you. We can visualize our maximum revenue.
Minimum revenue.
We can include minimum revenue.
Mm,
It's not only revenue.
you know.
What else can we visualize? Or what else can we include in our KPI?
Mm,
And we
Look
also
at,
have
okay.
the number of married people or number of single people. I don't just guessing.
Okay, the number of married people. Yeah, we can have it, but I would, don't you agree with me? It would make sense if we kind of compare them using our charts.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right, you can include it, but instead of just visualizing the number, you can just make it as a comparison between maybe single and married using our charts, maybe pie charts.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So what else? Look at your data set. We can get the if you look at the number two, it says how many records do we have. I can say total number of, I can say number of customers, right? I can decide to visualize number of customers. How many customers do I even have? So number of customers. I can decide to visualize the number of countries. How many countries are my customers from? So I can say number of countries. So I think this six is okay. All right. So now we have this. We have this. So let's start with the first one, which is the total revenue. Now, what's the first step I said you need to carry out? Creating a pivot table. Who remembers? The first thing you have to do when you want to create a pivot table.
You make sure your cursor is within the data set.
Okay, good.
And
You make sure your cursor is within the data sets like this. Yes.
yes. You can go to, well, you actually give us the shortcut, but if someone can go to inserts pivot table.
Yes, you can go to insert if you want. And you see pivot table there. And they said Ox n plus v also works. So is it how you come here? Now you will see from table stroke range or from external data source. But we are not calculating from external data source, it's from table stroke range. So if you had, so you just click on table stroke range. If you had applied the command Alt N V, Alt N plus V, you would have had something like this, which is still the same thing. So you click on the from table stroke range. Now it's going to bring a dialog box. You have table, don't change anything here, just press. Now you see from here, it says new worksheet or existing worksheet. It simply means you want to add the pivot table to this particular sheet, or it should create a new sheet for you. Don't forget, I said we need new sheet for our KPI, right? So click, so you won't change anything here, just click on OK. So it's going to create a pivot table for you like this. So this is what it's going to look like. So now you can rename your sheet one to be KPI. KPI. I think we remember I said KPI is key performance indicator. KPI. So let me just leave that KPI. So you can rename it to KPI. You can drag it to be after your data analysis stage if you want. So has everybody done this? And please, this part, if you are lost at any point in time, I'm begging us, call my attention to it. Because once you miss a step, you might get discouraged to navigating it, and you're already starting the road to building a dashboard. In fact, we started already. So you don't want to miss anything at any point in time now. If you know you are lost, call my attention to it before I go too far. So has everybody created it? Drop a yes, please, if you have done that. Okay. All right, thank you. Let's continue then. So now, this is your pivot table. You look at it as its own name, pivot table one. That's the name. I was explaining pivot table fields the other time. Can you see it by your right hand side? If you notice, you see all these stuff, all the fields we have here, they are your columns that we have in your data set. So this is where you select anything you want to visualize. Now, the first thing you do when you create a pivot table is you name your pivot table. You will see pivot table analyze. I don't know, depending on the version of Excel you're using, yours might be just analyze or options or whatever it is. You will see pivot table name here by your left hand side. So name it total revenue. The first KPI I want to generate is our total revenue. So name it total revenue. You see that it has changed to total revenue. So after naming your pivot table, the next thing is to select what you want to visualize using a pivot table. Now, since it's revenue, of course, since it's total revenue, of course, that means you select revenue over here. So I will select revenue like this. Now you see, immediately I selected revenue, automatically it was added to values. Assuming I don't want it under values, I can drag it to rows like this. That's why I was saying that you can always drag it to anywhere you feel you should drag it to. But we need it under values, so I will drag it back to values. Now, immediately you select a particular field and is a number, the first thing is to go under values. The next thing is Excel will automatically find the sum of those values. That's why we have sum of revenue here. If you look at this value, you see it's the same thing as the one we calculated in our data exploration stage. That's stage 1. 21,700,000, like that, like we have it. So now I can't leave my value like this, because if you go back to the data set, you discover that our revenue is in pounds. So we have to change this to pounds. If you go to your home tab, you see that it's in general. So please, everybody, pause whatever you are doing and pay attention to this. There are different ways to, or there are 2 ways. If I want to change it to pounds, I can come here. Under this general, we see this drop down arrow. You see dollars, you have pounds, you have euro here. But if I click on this pounds here, this is what it's going to give me. You see the E or whatever this is, it's far away from 21. So I won't use this one. This is what I will use. Oh, okay. All right, this part, you might not be able to see my screen. I don't know. Or can you see it? You might not be able to see my drop down. So you need to follow my voice and do it as I'm doing it too. So the first thing is, if you had selected pounds here, accounting is going to be showing here. So you see this drop down arrow, click on it. You will see more number format. Scroll down. The last thing there, you see more number format. Click on that. So that will bring a dialog box. So you see that your accounting is being highlighted. Scroll down to custom. That's the last thing you have there. Click on custom. Now, custom will bring out different formats for you. Different formats for you. The one initially selected, that's the one that is being highlighted. Now, rightly above that blue, whatever selected, you see another one there. Rightly above it, click on it. Let me, oh, okay. Can I quickly send this? All right. Rightly above it, you will see that, click on it. So you have this. Let me send, I just made a screenshot of that. Let me send it to the group chat in case anybody needs to that. Where is it? So I just send it to the group chat, not the chat box, so group chats on WhatsApp. So you can check it there in case you didn't get this. All right, so this is how to convert to this. So now we have sum of revenue. Now don't forget, I told you for each entity you want to visualize, you use a particular pivot table for it, different pivot table. So which means I want to calculate average revenue now, which means I need another pivot table. But will I now go back to my data and press and create another pivot table? No. I can copy this. Now see, I want us to pay attention to how I'm going to copy this. I'm going to select all the whole table like this. Now, not like this. Not like this. I will select the two like this. Control C, Control V. Now I have another pivot table. Now the next thing is what you rename your pivot table under pivot table analyze. Name it as average revenue. I hope I'm not too fast. Name it as average revenue.
Seems you are too fast, sir.
I told you if you are lost, you should call my attention. Are you lost anywhere?
Maybe, but you can continue.
Are you sure? I already said you can't afford to be lost at any point too. Are you sure I can continue?
I think I got lost when you were trying to name the pivot table, total revenue. So I couldn't get that.
Is that the only part you missed?
So, but yes,
Okay, it's not really much of importance. Can just it's quite easy. I said you should locate pivot table analyze. Do you know where that is? It's on your home. We have home, insert, page layout. Is on your ribbon tab. So just locate pivot
yes,
table
yes.
analyze.
I've seen
Oh,
it.
okay, all right.
Mm.
So now we have two tables. We have you see both of them have some on revenue because I copied this table and pasted it here. But this one is meant to be average revenue. So how do I change it to average revenue? Now, can you see this value? Right click on this value like this. This value, you right click on this value like this. You will see summarize values by. You see summarize values by. You see sum, count, average. So I will select average. Also, you see other stuff there. You see maximum, minimum, and the likes like that. We have count. So from these two, can we generate the pivot table for maximum revenue and minimum revenue? Or rather, let's generate the pivot table for maximum revenue and minimum revenue. I'll give us how many minutes should I give us for that? I'll give us it's not much. Should be able to do that in the let's say let me give us 5 minutes in case you're trying to do the ones I've done. So I'll give us 5 minutes for that. Generate the pivot table for minimum revenue and maximum revenue. You can drop down on the group when you're done. I mean in the chat box when you're done. Okay, someone is done. Can I have like two more? Please, if you are done, kindly drop it in the chat box that you're done. All right, so just like I said, for a maximum revenue, you just copy this. You can copy anyone. You paste it like this, and you write from this. Summarize values by you change it to maximum. Don't forget you should also change the name of your pivot table. Under pivot table analyze, I will name it maximum revenue. Revenue. I will copy this again, paste it like this. I right click on the number and change it from summarize values by to minimum revenue. I will also change the name to minimum revenue. All right, so that's how to get that done. So now let me go back to this. Okay, so we've gotten this 4. Give it green. So we've gotten this 4. We are left with number of customers and number of countries. Now, who can help us with number of customers? How do you think we can calculate number of customers using a pivot table? Who can help with that? How do you think we can get number of customers using a pivot table?
Um, we are going to. Should I continue, sir?
Yeah, sure, continue.
We are going to drag our customer in the value sections, so that will count.
I'm coming.
That
Let
will,
me. You mean the first thing is I should create a pivot table first, right? I copy and
yeah,
paste another pivot table. Okay. So what are you
Yes.
saying I should do from here?
You pick the customer's name, you drag it to the value section. So it won't read it as text, to read as count. Um,
Okay, so is it with the revenue too? I should leave the revenue there.
no, we only want to know the, you said the number of customers alone, the
And
count.
I copied some of revenue. So the revenue is still there. Should I leave it there?
No, you unclick the revenue.
Okay, good. I'll include the revenue because I don't need it. So you said I
Yes,
should choose
you
customer
click
name.
on the customer's name, yes. But you make sure the customer's name is under the value sections.
So I will
You
drag
drag
it
it
to
there.
values. Okay.
It's already, I think that's, you have to correct that. What is showing us? Why is it showing pounds?
Yes. Yeah. It's showing pounds because I copied some of revenue and it's in pounds. So I'll
Okay.
just change it to general.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll just change it to general. But that's nice. But the issue with this approach is it's possible that a customer might have the same name. It's quite possible that particular, in this case, we don't have it, but it's possible that a customer might have the same name. So in this case, it's advisable to use the customer ID. Two customers cannot have the same ID. It's not possible. Just like two Nigerians cannot have the same name. You have your own special name, particularly to you. So the approach is correct, but in cases whereby you have two customers bearing the same name, that's going to be an issue because it's just going to count them as one. But the issue now is we are not using count distinct. Although in this case, it's still applicable, even if you have repetitive of customer name because we are not using count distinct. Now, let me explain count distinct. We have count and we have count distinct. If, let's say in a class, or let's say in this class, let me say two Michelle, we have Baluni, we have Ola Shayo, we have Ola, we have, okay, let's say we have another Baluni, and then I have another two Michelle. Now, pay attention to this. I have how many persons in the class? One, two, three, four, five, six. I have six persons in the class. Now, if I use my count, the count will give me six. But if I use my count distinct, which I don't have in Excel, but there's a way to navigate it in Excel. I'm going to teach us that later. If I use my count distinct, it will give me one. It will only return how many? It will only return four. One, two, three, four. It won't count the repetitions. That's the meaning of count distinct. So count distinct only counts values that are not repeated. Or let me say it only counts values without repetition. Let me put it that way. While your normal count, we count, in fact, after me 20 times, it counts it 20 times. So which is why I'm saying, even if you have customer names, or if you have five customers bearing the same name, it will count it as, let's say we have it five times, it counts it as five times too. So which is why it's still applicable. But just for the sake of if you are working on other softwares, it's advisable to use your count, to use your customer ID. What you know, it can never be repeated. All right, so that's by that. So it's correct. We have 17,422 customers. Now the next one is country or country. You can help us with that. The first thing is let me duplicate this first. So you can help us with number of countries that we have. Anybody? I will call names. Ogunbode Dave Bukola, I want to hear you speak. Can you help us out, please? These days we've been quiet in class. Ogunbode Dave Bukola, are you with us? Or
Yes, I'm listening, sir.
All right, can you help us out? You've been quiet this stage, hope no problem.
I'm not feeling too well.
Oh, oh, okay, sorry for that. So should I pass it to someone else to help us?
Yes, let another person do it.
Okay, okay. So who wants to volunteer? I don't want to call anybody. Who wants to volunteer? All right, since nobody wants to try, let me try myself then. So let me rename my pivot table as a number of countries, number of countries, number of countries. All right, of course, I'll remove the customer name. Of course, as you must have guessed, I'm picking country, Abby. Now, if you look at this, immediately, I told you anything that is text, automatically we go on that way, under rows or columns. You see that if you count it, you have 10 countries. But then I want the number, I don't want it listed like this, so I will drag it to values. But now you will discover that immediately I drag it to values, I have 70,420 instead of 10. You already know what happened. I already explained. By default, it counts now. Even it counted all the repetitions together. So how do I now achieve getting my 10 value? And there is no count distance. If you right click on this, unless I don't know, maybe the latest version, they now added it to. You see that there's no count distance here. There's only count of values that is it. So what I will do is I'm going to teach us an approach. The approach can't be applied here. Let's go back to our data set. Let's go back to our data set.
We can filter it.
We can filter it. Okay, I'm coming. You should filter from here or from the pivot table.
It's from pivot table. It depends. We
Okay.
can we can we can filter from there too.
Okay, let me hear you out. What should I do?
We can filter from pivot table. Sorry, from the data sets. Then you just come and write it here, or maybe we just filter from here. But
How?
I think
How should
from
we do
um
that?
from the normal. Please go back to the
Eh,
data set,
Okay.
please. So we just click on the
The
country,
country. Okay.
the drop down. Click on the drop down.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not saying the rest. Okay, once you click on drop down, it
Yeah.
automatically
Yeah.
sorts itself. It shows the distinct values of the countries.
Yes, that's
Just
correct. The same way it was showing here, the same way it was showing here before I dragged it, right?
yes, yes.
Eh, So what are you now saying I should do after then?
Um,
Don't forget our aim is to change this value to 10. It should not be 70,000.
that's why I said you can just handwrite it since we already know how many.
And
We already
right.
know the distinct countries here. Then we'll just clean it and write there.
No, it doesn't work that way. It
Or
doesn't work
or
that way.
or we can create we can the count of country in a row. If you put the countries in the row, that's in the text format, we can still sort it from there. Yes, I think click on drop down.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying what's showing.
Yeah, don't worry, just go ahead.
Ah, it's showing one. Just it's showing just the values. Then only that. Just leave it there. Click on OK. It should show.
I don't
Once you
understand.
click
It's
OK,
showing
once you click on that, yes, okay,
yes.
yes. Then we'll click on another country again and bring it to the value. That rows will still retain country, then we'll click on another country, then bring it to the value, then to show each time the countries appears, then the total sum will give it our total number of countries that are there.
Wait, I don't understand what I say.
You put the
You
cursor
said
to
I should,
under the
the last
under
one you
the
said I
pivot
should.
field.
Okay.
Under the pivot field, you drag another country to the value section. You won't
Oh,
click on it,
okay.
you drag it. You drag it to the value
Okay,
section.
like this. Uh-huh.
Ah, Jesus. Okay. Is this,
You
I'm
said,
not saying
why are you calling Jesus? Now Jesus
I,
sent
I, was,
you.
I was expecting that to show this thing. It's just showing the total number of times the
No,
countries appear.
I thought it won't show you the distance. It won't show you. So the only thing you can do now is you have to go back to our data set. So I don't know why Excel decided not to add these things. Like I said, maybe they've added it to the updated version. I don't know. So this is how to go about it. Um, Now you need to create another column. Create another column. Insert another column. Then name it. You can name it number of countries. Yes, you can name it number of countries. You can name it number of countries. Yeah, you can name it number of countries like this. Now we're going to use our count if function. We're going to use our count if function. So I will say that count ifs I mean, or no, count if. So I use my count if function. I want to count the number of countries for each of them. So my range is what? My range is country, right? But I will select my customer data first. Then select country. Now my criteria is I will select the first country, which is Australia, like this. Then I will close the bracket and enter. So this is all you're going to get. You discover that total number of Australia is 4,281. That is being repeated for every cells that have Australia. The same thing with other countries. I hope everybody has done this part. So now, how do I now perform the magic? You know, what? Don't forget, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it that by the time I'm trying to make it that every occurrence of Australia will be summed up to be one. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to do. So no matter the number of Australia, it will be seen as one. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So I will go before this formula like this. After that equal sign, I will put 1 over, that is 1 over count if country, blah, 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 like that. So I will choose 1 over. Let me copy this and put it on the. So I will choose 1 over the formula is on the good chart. So by the time I apply it like this, it will change everything to decimals. Now, this is what just happened. Don't forget, I said I'm looking for a way such that all the values under Australia, by the time they are summed up, it will give me 1. So applying 1 over count if, by the time I had Australia, all the values for Australia, for instance, it will be seen as 1. But you won't see the magic here. You will see it at the KPI. Has everybody done this first before I move to my KPI? Has everybody done this? Please, I need a response. Have everybody done that? You can drop a yes in the chat box. Okay, yes, thank you. So now I can go back to your KPI sheet. You see that the number of countries you just created is not here. Yes, it won't be there. Now, anytime after creating your pivot table and you go ahead to change something in your data set, in your table, you have to refresh. Refresh is under data. In your ribbon tab, you see data. Rightly below it, you will see refresh, refresh all. So you click on refresh all. So whatever changes you've made will be added to your pivot table fields. So if you check again, you see that number of countries has been added. So I will remove this country that I have there before, and I will choose number of countries. Now, this time around, we are not counting. No. If you count, it still give it 17,000. So you sum it up. You are going to use sum. So anywhere Australia appears, it will sum it up as one. Anywhere Germany appears, it sum it up as one, and the likes like that. Hope we are not lost. Please let me know if you've done that. You can drop a yes on the group if you've done it or done. Or should I give us more time? Please, if we don't respond, I will just assume we've gotten it that I should go ahead. All right, thank you for the yes. So I guess others have done it too. If you want me to wait for you, drop wait on the group or the chat box, I mean. All right, in the absence of no wait, let's continue. So now you've calculated all our KPIs. We have 6 KPIs generated so far. The sum of the total revenue, the average revenue, the maximum revenue, minimum revenue. Now the names shown here, like average of revenue, is not the name of the pivot table, it's the name of the field. If you go to your pivot table and analyze, beside your pivot table name, you see active field. That's the name that is shown here. So don't pay attention to it. Like this one that we're having sum of number of countries. Don't worry, just leave it like that. By the time you are creating our dashboard, the right name will pop up. You're going to edit it there. So now we are done creating our KPIs. Let's go ahead to other visualizations, the main visualizations. So let's go back to our data analysis stage. Your stage 4. Let's go back to our stage 4. Now we have 3 visualizations there. The first one is create a visualization. Now, unlike your KPIs, you know, all our KPIs, we used one sheet for it. It's different for your visualizations. Each visualization should have its own separate sheet. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to create a new sheet. And we are going to name it, what's the first thing we have here? The first visualization here is revenue by gender. So we are going to name it revenue by gender.
Sorry,
Okay.
mine says revenue by country. Abi?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. We're
Mm.
going to name it revenue by country. revenue by country. So now, also, you don't have to create a new pivot table. Just come to your KPI, copy any of the pivot table of your choice, anyone, and come and paste it inside this place, like this. Now, there are cases whereby you might mistakenly close your pivot table field like this. How do you now bring it back up? Now, the first thing you have to ensure is your cursor is on your pivot table. You right click on it. The last thing there, you see show field list. Show field list, click on it. It will bring back your pivot table field. So that's by that. So now, the first thing is revenue by country. Just like the name implies, that means we select revenue and what? And country. So in your pivot table field, revenue is already selected. Select country. Depending on the pivot table field you copied though. So select country. So we have something like this. But now, you discover that there's an issue with my data set. I don't know what you have. You might be having the separate value. If you look at the pivot table field, I have max of revenue. The pivot table I copied, which is why you have to be very, very cautious. The pivot table I copied was maximum revenue. It's the same thing that was selected here, which means I have to change it. I will right click on any number there. I will go to summarize value by and change it to sum. So you have to be very cautious while copying pivot tables. Make sure you edit it to whatever you want. So I will change it to sum. So we have this. All right. You can speak up. Ogunba, you have you raised your hand. You can speak. Or is it a mistake? Oh, I guess it was a mistake. All right. So now you have your revenue and country together. This is the total revenue for Australia. This is total revenue for Canada. This is total revenue for Central. Now, if you remember when I was explaining pivot table, I said you can also use it to sort or rearrange our data sets, right? Now I can decide to sort this. Now look at these row labels. Click on this arrow here, this filter arrow. You will see that you can decide to select the countries you want to view in your pivot table. Also, you can sort from A to Z. That's it. You start from Australia down to Z. You can sort from Z to A. If you see label filters. The label filters is maybe you might want to display only country that, let's say, begins with A, or the country that has end with A or end with W. Those are what we have here. Also, you will see your value filters. You might not be able to see my screen, so you just have to follow my voice. You will see my value, you see value filters too. You can say that, okay, you only want to see countries that their revenue is equal to 20,000, or that is greater than 20,000, or that is, you see top 10. Yes. Let's assume you have 200 countries and you want to view the countries with top 10 revenue. You will choose top 10. Don't worry. You're still going to choose something like that. Or let me see. Is there going to be a case where you're going to apply it? Yes, 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 yes. There's still a case where you're going to apply. Please just remind me. Remind me that I want to teach you top 10. Please remind me. I can't apply it now because I have 10 countries, so there's no point. So that's what you do under value filters. Now, how do I sort it? Now, the sorting is not going to be from your row labels. If you sort using your row labels, it will only sort the country, but it's the values I want to sort. So I will right click on any of them. You will see sort. Rightly above, remove sum of revenue. You will see sort. Now, in your own case, you might have descending or ascending, depending on the version of Excel you're using. Over here, I have sort smallest to largest. Your smallest to largest is what? That's ascending, right? While your largest to smallest is descending. So I would like to sort from largest to smallest. So this is what you're going to have. Sorting from largest to smallest, this is what you're going to have. All right. And if you sort from smallest to largest, it's going to start with 871 pounds. So now, after doing this, don't forget, I said, after creating your pivot table, the next thing is what? Pivot chart. Now, okay, I want us to do this. There's a reason I want us to do this. Or should I? Should I do it and then come back here? Now, everybody, let's change our values here to 2 decimal places. There's a reason for that. Let's change our values here to 2 decimal places. I think I already explained how to do that. Under your home tab, over here, you will see decrease, increase decimal, and decrease decimal. Can you see my cursor? Follow my cursor. You will see increase decimal and decrease decimal. So I will use increase decimal. I will increase it by 2 times. So I can have my answer like this. I hope everybody's following me. So after that, we can now create a pivot table, our pivot chart rather. Don't forget, I said the first thing is your cursor has to be within your pivot chart like this, or within your pivot table like this. You can either you go to insert, under insert you will see pivot chart, or under pivot table analyze, you still see pivot charts there. So you click on your pivot chart. You see that we have different types of pivot charts. You have column, line, pie. In this case now, I want to show comparison. Which kind of charts do you think I would use? I want to show comparison. Is anybody helping us out with that? To show comparison, I want to show comparison. What kind of chart do you think I will use?
Column charts or bar charts?
All right, thank you. I can either use my column chart or bar chart. So I'll just pick my column chart. I'll pick the first one. So I have this. So I have this. Has everybody generated their charts? Because I need a response because I'm going to be giving us different assignments against next week Saturday. And like I said, they're going to round off Excel next week. Like us, okay, today's Sunday. This week, by God's grace. Let me say next week Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be rounding it off. So we're going to be giving us some assignments or visualizations. What to visualize. So has everybody generated their charts? Please drop a yes on the group for you've generated yours. It's only Tumishi that has been responding to my yes since we. Is it that the rest of us are not getting it or what? All right, we have a lot to cover, so we have limited time. You can always watch the video after the class. All right, so now I want to edit this chart. The first thing I'm going to remove is this total here is not needed. This total here, so I'll click on delete. I'll remove it. These lines are not needed, so I will click on any of the lines. I will click on delete on my keyboard. Now the total here, oh, please, oh, the total I was referring to the other time is not this one, it's the one that was here, beside here. So this total here is important, is the title. So what's the title of my chart? That's revenue by country. That's revenue by country. So I will edit this. You can go to your home tab. I like using Times New Romans, so I will change the font to Times New Romans. You can search for that. I will change the text color from here. Can you see my screen? This is for field, this is for text. I'll change the text color to black. The initial color there was gray, so I'll change it to black. I can increase the font size if I want. Beside your times when we see 14, I can increase it to 16. I can move this around too. You can move it by the edge. You can move it around like this. You can move it here. If I want it to be in the center like this. Now, another thing I want to remove is the revenue, sum of revenue and country. I will right click on this sum of revenue. You will see hide all field buttons on chart. Hide all field buttons on chart. I will click on it. So it's going to remove that for me. What else? Okay. Now there's something called data labels. There's something called data labels. Now, if you look at your y-axis, you have the range of revenues, total revenue. But I want each country to carry their own revenue on their head. Should put it on their head. So what I can do, those are called data labels. So what I'm going to do is I will click on any of the column like this. I will right click on any of the columns. You see add data labels. We have two things there. We have add data labels and add data callouts. Now this is what data callouts looks like. Data callouts comprises of both the x-axis and y-axis, but that's not what I'm going to apply. I only wanted to show us. I will click on add data labels. Can you see? It's going to add this revenue of each country. But now there's an issue. You see that some revenues are overlapping. Some revenues are you see that some revenues are overlapping. So what I'm going to do is I will change this to be in millions. Now this step you have to follow me. Select your y-axis like this. Select your y-axis like this. You right click on it. You will see format axis. That's the last thing there. You click on format axis. Is anybody saying someone say something?
Okay.
All right, you see format axis. So you see display units. Can you see this? Can everybody see display units? You will see display units. You see none in front of it. Break it down. You see millions. Now click on millions. Can you see? Now this is why I said you should add 2 decimal places the other time. Assuming you did not add 2 decimal places, you see this place having 2.87. It will only show 2222. It won't differentiate them. That's why I said you should add 2 decimal places earlier. So when you change it to millions, this is what you have. But now you have to indicate it in your data set. Sorry, in your title that the revenue is in millions. Just put it in bracket like this. In and for in millions. So anybody that sees 7 points, we know that, oh, this is 7 million. So now that you've done that, now look up. There's no need for this. I don't need this again. My y-axis, I don't need it. So I will select it like this and delete it. So anybody can look at this chart. Oh, revenue by country. Oh, this is revenue for Australia. Oh, it's in millions. This is 7 million. So now it's straightforward. Okay, come back here. So that's straightforward. So now there's still more to edit. What else can we edit? You can decide to change, you can decide to increase the size of this your chart, your columns. You can decide to increase the size. How do you do that? Right click on it. Right click on any columns, click on format data series. Click on format data series. Now you will see series overlap and gap width. So for the gap width, just reduce it. The more you reduce it, the more it's close. If I reduce everything, this is what I have. If I increase it, this is what I have. So this is how to increase your columns. Also, you might decide that, okay, you don't like this blue color, you want to change it to another color. Just right click on it. You will see fill and outline. Or you can come to your home tab here. You will see fill here. I'm not saying you should give me this color. You will see fill here. What color should I work? Let me work with navy blue. You can pick any color of your choice. But don't, okay, you can pick any color of your choice. Or like I said, you can use the same fill here. You can pick more color. If the color is shown is not of your choice, you can pick more colors, more few colors, and choose anyone you want. So that's by that. Also, you can decide to give your, okay, let's edit our data labels. Click on any of the data labels. I might be a little bit fast because we have a lot to cover. So you can click on any of the data labels like this. Click on any of them, right click on it. Let's say you want to give your data label a fill. You will see shape fill. I don't think we can see can see this perfect. You will see shape fill. Click on shape fill. I can decide to use black if I want, or gray. But if I pick gray, you see that the data labels are not showing right. So that means I will go to my home tab where you have this A. Can you see this A? This text. Can you see font color? I will change it to white so that it can be visible. So I think our chart is getting more beautiful, Abi. So another thing is this, can you see this y-axis? You see that they are faded. This is not black. I will change it to black. Under your home tab, just change it to black, like this. And also you can decide to give your home tab this place, this is your y-axis, sorry, x-axis. You can decide to give it a fill, right click beside your home tab. Can you see? You can give it yellow. But be mindful of the colors you combine. Don't combine too much color. Dashboard is not just by bombarding rainbow. Don't use rainbow color. Everything is just shining, showing. The important thing is you are passing the right there. You are passing the information and it's plain. You don't have to use so many colors. So I can also change the text to Times New Roman like this. Times New Roman like this. I can increase the size. Under Home tab, I can increase the size to, okay, let me select this first. I can increase the size to 10. Yes, I can increase it to 10. All right, another thing is I can decide to give my chart area color. Now make sure your chart area is selected like this. Now this is chart area, not this one. No. This is plot area. This is chart area. I can decide to right click on my chart area and give it a fill. Now under, if you right click, you will see no fill. If I click on no fill, this is what I have. It's going to take the fill of the background. Can we see? But I want you to have a fill. So I can choose black. I can choose this. I can choose any color of my choice. Now, under more colors, you will see picture. I can even use picture. If you click on picture, it will take it to your system files. So you can choose any picture you want. I can decide to use gradients. These are gradients. These are what I have in gradients. But then don't forget I said simplicity is key. So I will leave mine as white. I'll leave it like this. So I think I'm good to do. Now you can give your plot area another color too. This is your plot area. You can decide to give it red. You can decide to give it red, yellow, any color of your choice. So anyhow you want it. But I will leave mine like this. I think I like my charts like this. Any question? Please, this is the moment for you to ask your questions. I'm going to be giving us different assignments, and it's going to require us applying what I just did. You're going to generate your pivot table, the chart, and you're going to edit it like I just did. So please, if you have any question based on what I've done, this is the time to ask. If you have any question, does anybody have any question? In as much as you've been doing well so far, this part is like the most important, because whatever I see you've done, if you cannot display it and put it in your dashboard, then it's of no use. So please and please, if you have any question now, this is the time to ask. Does anybody have any question, or we understood everything I've done? All right. I will take it as we understood everything I've done. So now, assignment number 1. Assignment number 1. Go back to your data analysis stage. Now you see number 2 there. Create a visualization of the proportion of revenue by each band. create a visualization of the proportion of revenue by age band. And number three, create a visualization of revenue generated by male and female in each country. So you have to do this highlighted ones. I would have loved to add to that, but we do the rest next week. So we are still going to create more visualization. We will be the ones to do it ourselves, but that will be next week. So let me give us time to digest it first. So this is assignment. Do number 2 and 3. Create a visualization of proportion of revenue by age band. Proportion, you already know the charts to use. For your create a visualization of revenue generated by male and female in each country. Well, let me test it. Let me see the chart you're going to use for that. Do you understand the assignment? Okay. All right, I think that was a yes. So please, we meet next week. Let's do our assignment. Let's go through the video. If there's anything we've missed, let's go through the video. Make sure we get everything before coming for the next class, so we can make everything easier for us. So for next class, we create more visualization, we create more charts. So either Saturday or Sunday, we should start building our dashboard. But all I know is by Sunday, by God's grace, next week Sunday, we are finishing Excel. And we start Power BI. We're going to start Power BI. That will be upper week. So thank you so much for listening and paying attention. So we meet next week. Have a nice night.